Thanks for clicking on Conversations with Crosswinds Counseling. I'm Curtis Smith, and I invite you to subscribe to our podcast and to like and share it as well. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the initial Conversations with Crosswinds Counseling, a brand new podcast. My name is Curtis Smith. I'll be your host. Thank you for joining us. We're going to kick this off today with Rob Eicher and Rachel Bowers. Rob is the Vice President of Crosswinds Counseling, and Rachel is the Director of Operations. Generally speaking, as we move forward, our podcast will be a chance to meet counselors and therapists and hear from them on topics and things that might help you and connect you more to Crosswinds. But today we want to just give you an overview as we start this journey in this new podcast, Conversations with Crosswinds Counseling. Rob, Rachel, thanks for being with us.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Rob, give us an overview of Crosswinds Counseling for those out there who've stumbled onto this podcast, who don't know Crosswinds well. Tell us about the organization.
Crosswinds Counseling was started in 2012 out of our organization's desire to help families and to help individuals and to have a bigger impact on people's lives.
And Rachel, that occurs through counseling of all different varieties. Tell me a little bit about, you're the Director of Operations. Give us a little more granular look at what Crosswinds is. What do you do? How do you do it? What does a day-to-day look like for Crosswinds Counseling?
Every day looks a little different,
Right.
But like we meet with a lot of individuals. We meet with, and that could be from, I think our youngest is around 5.
Wow.
All the way up, and we do marriage and couples. We work with families. We're in the school systems. We also deliver counseling through EAP programming with, currently we're up to 60 plus corporate partners in Indiana. And even some of those even reach into other states and even into Canada. A day in life could be, therapists could be seeing up to 6 to 8 hours worth of clients a day, ranging on different issues from depression, trauma, addiction. And our goal, our desire is to walk them through that brokenness. We want to walk them on that path of healing in a non-judgmental way, just being able to use evidence-based and even faith-based counseling if they so desire.
And Crosswinds has gone through incredible growth. Rob mentioned born just over 10 years ago in 2012. Over these last 10 years, this little counseling operation that started in Fort Wayne has now grown to other cities. New counselors are coming on. You're helping more and more people than ever before. Tell me a little bit about the growth that you've seen over these last 10, 11 years.
I have been on the Crosswinds side in this position for 7 years. And when I came over, we had about 9 therapists. And today we have 42.
Wow.
We were in one office. We are now in 6, including one of them being in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
And so it has been, and even then we were 100% dependent on the benevolence of others and grants. So clients weren't even paying for services. And so just to watch it go from maybe 500 to 700 clients up to north of 4,000 is, in that amount of time, it is amazing. And just even saying it out loud,
Right.
it feels a little overwhelming. But man, it's just an amazing journey, and just to see even God's hand in all of it, and the timing of everything, and when things happened at a certain time is really beautiful to look back and look at.
Rob, you've been with Crosswinds less time, but over a year now, and you've seen some of that geographical growth. Rachel mentioned Dayton, but you have offices now in Indy and South Bend, and Dayton's the first one outside of Indiana, of course, here in Fort Wayne. Why do you think it's taken off like this? Why do you think you're now helping thousands of people with, this year could be 30, 35, maybe 40,000 face-to-face hours of counseling, of being in the weeds with people. That's an incredible investment of time. Why do you think it's taken off like this?
I think there's a couple of factors. One is God is moving. God is moving in Crosswinds, through Crosswinds, because he wants to heal our society and he wants to heal individuals. And another reason we've grown so much is because of the demand. Unfortunately, the last few years have been really tough on our country, tough on our families, tough on individuals, and people need counseling more than they ever have in our country.
That was probably true before the pandemic, right? Like it felt like the need was going up before the pandemic. Then you factor in the pandemic and the craziness of the last couple of years, and it just felt like it exponentially, the need exponentially rose.
That's correct. It has. And it's not just been in Indiana and Ohio.
Right.
It's across the country. There's a huge demand for counseling and not enough therapists to provide it.
Rachel mentioned faith-based counseling. You talked about a movement of God. Let's talk about that, because there are a lot of counseling options around our region, around the country, that are not faith-based. It's one of the things that separates Crosswinds, but it's not something that makes it exclusive. It's not something that excludes anyone from being a client of Crosswinds Counseling. So tell me a little bit about how you incorporate that in. You mix in the faith-based nature, and then I want to hear from both of you what it means to you, though, to be at a place where you can pray for clients, you can ask God to move, and you feel like He does.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole reason I'm here. I wanted to get back into just submitting my life 100% to God and having my 40 to 60 hours a week go toward impacting lives. So at Crosswinds, the type of therapists that are drawn to us are people who want to integrate their faith with their therapy. They've all been trained, at least have a master's degree in counseling or therapy. And so they've got that evidence-based treatments that they can provide, but we're open to them also integrating their faith in their therapy and helping the client integrate their faith with their healing. So,
but the client gets to drive that
Right.
piece, right? It's
Right.
never forced on anyone.
Right.
It's never an uncomfortable situation. It's the client that makes
Right.
that call.
And I often get asked, what does that look like? Like, how does it practically play out during a therapy session? And that's really, it depends on the client and it depends on the therapist. We don't have a template and we don't say, here, therapist, you got to go in and preach X, Y, and Z, and then it's a successful session. They're trained professionals in counseling.
Right.
They also have some type of a faith journey. And we are open as an organization that if God tugs on our heart that, look, your client needs this, go down that road with them, then they go down that road.
It's such an important piece, Rachel, because I think maybe there is this mindset out there that, I don't know if it was born out of churches, but if it's faith-based counseling or if it's a Christian counselor, it might not be top notch. They might not be an expert, but that's not the case here at Crosswinds. It's, as Rob said, evidence-based, clinical experts, people who know what they're doing. They're licensed, they're trained, they have masters, they know what they're doing. They just also happen to have a faith.
Yeah, I think it's also important when you have people that are coming to it. I mean, they're coming, I would say 70 to 80%, like even when they're calling in our scheduling team, they're indicating that is important to them. And it would same be true, like if somebody's needing trauma treatment, they're going to want their therapist to be trained in, I don't know, like EMDR, right? They're going to want them to have familiarity and a training and a sensitivity to that. And so what I love about it, just at Crosswinds, is the same is true if they're wanting that faith-based touched. And honestly, as humans, as our civilization continues to find new ways to inflict depravity upon kids and the things that we are doing to hurt one another, it's like, I don't personally know how I can reconcile getting to the other side of that hurt and that brokenness without faith, because I just don't know. And I love that we have the opportunity to provide that as a point of hope for them.
Yeah. Let's talk about how someone could get connected. Rob, if someone's an individual or a couple or a family and they need counseling and they would like to get connected to Crosswinds Counseling, what's the best way for anyone out there to get connected?
The easiest way is to go to our website, which is www.crosswinds.org.
I think it's actually crosswindscounseling.org.
It is. I was going to kick him under the table.
There we go.
I'm fine with you kicking Rob, Rachel, if you need to. Just,
It still happens.
Yeah. Let's see. Should I throw him another one and see if you need to kick him?
Yeah,
again?
let's try this again.
So crosswindscounseling.org is the easiest. And Rob, when you go to the website, you see counselors, you get to meet them online, read a little bit about them, see the geographical options, right?
Correct. Each of our counselors, we put a bio on there so they can see what the counselor looks like. They can read a little bit about their background, what their specialty is. That's one of the things we ask our therapists is, what areas are you most passionate about? What do you feel comfortable with? What are you the best at? And then we try to match our clients with the therapist that's going to be able to help them the most.
Yeah, that's powerful. Rachel, you mentioned EAP a few minutes ago, and that we have about 60.
66?
69.
Wow. So getting close to 70 EAP clients. If someone out there is an owner of a business or they work in HR and they're looking for good EAP options for their employees or their coworkers, what steps do they need to take to get connected to Crosswinds Counseling to investigate the EAP program?
We have an EAP. Visiting the website at crosswindscounseling.org, there's an EAP option, and on there it can direct potential business partners to be able to inquire more, or even to begin that journey. And Sean would be the person that they would be communicating with. His information's on the webpage, and they can get with him as well, and then he'll follow up.
Yeah, Sean Shepard is one of the business development folks at Crosswinds Counseling, does a tremendous job, has a huge heart for people, connecting with a lot of churches and businesses out there, because this is not just for individuals. It's not just something that maybe you need for your kid or you and your spouse or your whole family. It is something that can benefit everybody, and even in the workforce.
So some of our listeners may not know what an EAP program is.
Yeah, tell us a little more about it, Rob.
So it's basically when employers want to take care of their employees, and they will pay for 5 to 10 sessions of counseling for their employee. So if they notice productivity is down in the workplace and their manager pulls them in and they find out, their marriage is unraveling, or their teenager is off the rails and they're stressed out, that's why they're not doing very well at work, the employer through the EAP program makes counseling sessions available to that employee and any member of their household.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So it's not just even for the employee. In most
Correct.
cases, right, that extends out to the household.
So the employer pays for those sessions. It's a write-off for the employer. The employer ends up with a healthier, happier employee, which benefits the workplace.
Yeah. It really helps with retention, helps people stay more engaged at work, stay in their job longer. It's proven to be a very successful thing for a lot of companies across all kinds of different industries too. It's not something that's only good for churches or only good for small businesses or only good for a certain industry. It really has benefit across that whole wide spectrum. Well, Rob and Rachel, thank you so much. I mean, this is a fun way to kick off our first podcast here. We're excited to get to know the counselors more, to help you get connected and to understand Crosswinds more, and to hear about the work that they do and talk about topics and dive into the counseling world. But I thought this overview of Crosswinds Counseling was an important way to take our first step into the podcast world. So Rob Eicher, Rachel Bowers, thank you so much. Remember, it is crosswindscounseling.org. Rob, jot that down real quick.
Say it with me, crosswindscounseling.org.
There you go. That's how to get connected with Crosswinds. We will see you next time on Conversations with Crosswinds Counseling. Thanks for watching Conversations with Crosswinds Counseling today. I hope it was helpful for you. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Like and share it as well. We appreciate that and hope you have a great day.